For sure, today we know, nobody can argue that the currencies we're using today are no longer backed by gold or silver. No longer. That ceased some long time ago for many economic, political and economical reasons and so on. But still, with all those shortcomings, we still, hold up that, ijma'. Okay, now amongst the pertinent issues related to nisab and naqdain is تقلبات المال أثناء الحول, 2 تكميل النصاب, 3 الخلطة. We're going to go through these 3 items very quickly because of time. We have a situation whereby wealth fluctuates. It's called تقلبات المال أثناء الحول. Now, I have mentioned Sha'ban a while ago. I was giving you an example, and I've mentioned 60,000 to be the nisab, right? Now, تقلبات الحول means my 100,000 which I deposited in a certain account or whatever, I've put it for saving 100,000, and that is in Sha'ban last year. Now come this year, I'm liable to pay zakah. But the problem is, I have noted, and I'm sure that that amount has been going up and down, up and down. Okay, so how much zakah am I paying? That is the first issue that we're going to tackle. Now the answer to that is, you can look at this graph, تقلبات المال أثناء الحول. Now there are 2 situations. Situation A is the fluctuation of your wealth in your account or whatever it is must be under one of these 2 conditions. Condition 1, that your wealth was fluctuating. You're fluctuating in this case cash. Your cash was fluctuating, but at no point did it fall below nisab. Yes, it was fluctuating, but it did not go beyond the nisab. You had, let's say, 300,000 in your account in Sha'ban, and it was going up and down, but at no point of time did it fall beyond 60. So it used to go 200, 300, 250, 300, and so on. But it never went to 30 or 40. That is situation A. Okay, now what happens? And this is the second situation. We'll answer them both together. Situation B is تقلبات المال أثناء الحول beyond the nisab. So I have 100,000 in my savings in Sha'ban, Ramadan, Shawwal, Dhul Qa'dah, the money fell down to 20. I withdrew 80,000. Something happened, I was forced to take 50. So it went below nisab. So what happens when these situations occur? Now the answer is, in situation 1 here, in situation 1, I have 2 ways to go about it. The first one is to go with the final amount that I have in the account, because I am sure that that money did not fall below the nisab, and therefore I am certain that I have completed the haul above the nisab, irrespective of the fluctuation. So you can see the graph, the money is fluctuating from point A1 to A2, and that is 1 year I've completed Ramadan. But there was no shortcoming of the nisab. So therefore I can pick situation A2 or the amount A2 to be the amount that I'm giving out zakat. So my closing balance by Sha'ban from 100,000 is 90. Or I was mentioning 300,000 is 280,000. So I'm going to count 280,000 to be the amount zakatable from cash. I will take that amount, put it in my zakat basket. I have a zakat basket or zakat portfolio. So in my portfolio of zakah, I will say cash at bank 280. Cash in hand, how much do you have at home that has stayed for 1 year? It's another 50 or 20, whatever. If you don't have anything, you'll move on to another portfolio and see if you have urud al-tijara. and then add that, and so on. Then you will come out with the final figure for paying zakat from. Situation 2, I mean, the other option you have in this graph is to pick any point that you want. You pick any point that you want. If you want to say, okay, let me go with the peak when the amount was at the highest, which was, let's say, 300, and it went up to 320,000. You take the peak point is here, and you take that to be your zakat amount to pay. So those are the two options, and you are safe with any, because the amount has not gone below nisab. Now, in situation 2 here, if the amount falls beyond nisab at any point, like in this case here, at this point N, the amount fell below the nisab, and then it gained the nisab again. And it went. This is the nisab. N is nisab. You can see this line is nisab, and this is the amount that you have at the bank. So you can see it's fluctuating, going up and down. But at this point here, this could be maybe Shawwal, okay, because you need to spend a lot for Eid for your children. So Ramadan has taken up all your all your savings, or most of your savings, right? So your amount went down here. Now what happens here is, once this happens, this is Ramadan, Shawwal, your nisab went down. So at this point here now, you can see this point is when you are going to count new hawl. So you have started with hawl. This is hawl here. This amount is above the nisab. This is probably 100,000. Nisab is 60. This is 100,000. So I'm starting with 100, I'm coming down, I'm withdrawing, but still it's above the nisab. But at this point here, it fell down the nisab. It came to 50, whatever. Now, after Ramadan, I made some good earnings, and I was able to deposit now another 60,000. So I have 100,000, let's say, for example, or 80,000. So from this point, this could be, you're going to look at this month. This is going to be, let's say, Shawwal or the Qa'dah. I'm starting my new hawl. So what happens now in this scenario is, when your nisab falls down, the resulting effect is that it's going to increase your hawl. Your hawl will no longer be the previous hawl that you started with. I started with hawl of Shawwal, and I will determine my hawl with the nisab. The nisab is the one that determines your hawl. So I have 100,000. That is when I'm counting my hawl, because it's above the nisab. Okay, I've gone with that amount, but come that month of the Qa'dah, it fell down, the hawl is cancelled. So I'm going to start a new one once I get 100,000, or whatever amount that is above 60. So what happens is, the hawl will keep on moving from one place to another, from one point to another, which is going to be determined by the nisab that you have. So these are the two concepts that we need to understand in terms of taqallubat al-hawl or taqallubat al-mal. You are fluctuating money or wealth. How do you go about it? How do you deal with your fluctuating amount?
I don't know practically how many of us are able to monitor.
Yes.
I know of somebody who simply looks at the 2 points.
Okay.
Yeah. When I started, when I gave my zakat at that point in time, it was this.
Yes.
You know, now it is this. So long as both of them are above nisab, he goes for the lower. He does not care whether it went below or up.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because sometimes it's not very easy. So I don't know from a practical point of view whether that position would. Well, I think you are paying. So in terms of Sharia, you have paid. I think the problem is if you don't pay.
Okay, that's a good point, but I personally have a reservation with that notion or that approach indeed. And the reason is, if you say, for example, I'm going to pay the amount that I find in point A2, irrespective of what happened to it before. The problem with that approach is, you may end up paying zakah that has not completed hawl, and hawl is 12 months. You may end up paying for zakah for mal that has only achieved 6 months, or 3 months, or 2 months, or 4 months, and so on. And therefore, you will be paying zakah that is not meeting or due and meeting its conditions.
But then that
Now,
becomes sadaqah.
it becomes sadaqah, and you have not paid zakah.
No.
So zakah is waiting for you.
Zakah is waiting.
Yes, zakah is waiting for you, inshallah.
Okay.
Now, to answer your first question was, how practical is it, or is it so difficult? My take will be, we were defining zakah in the initial part of the discussion when we started with the definition. You remember very well, brothers, we defined zakah as being an act of worship. We said it's ibadah. Now that by itself should be of should resonate with our minds and our sense and our feeling to a very high extent, because once you come to understand and realize that this is ibadah, then therefore you have to treat it as ibadah. Whatever demands of time that it takes, whatever effort that it takes to analyze, to go through your statements, bank statements that you have been receiving throughout the year, it is 10 pages, 5 pages, you have to, because it's act of ibadah. Because today some of us we are employed, and we read reports of 100 pages, 200 pages. Reports we read, and we give out our analysis, we give out our judgments, we give out our views. You have read that report, and this is a bank statement that will lead you to to carry out your duty as ibadah, that is zakah. So I feel it is worth it. It is worth the time you spend on the bank accounts that you are going to request from the bank to provide you with. It's your right. Nowadays, many banks allow their customers to access bank accounts even via online and downloadable and so on. They send you to your emails. So just a matter of finding some time to just go through it, and it's very simple. Just look at the amounts, the closing balance, whatever. Any amount that is below the nisab, struck it out and count that as the new hawl. So I think, Shaykh Abdul Latif, it's worth it. It's ibadah, so we need to give it the effort, we need to give it the time, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala requires us to do that. The same effort that we put in making sure that our hajj is correct, our salah is correct, from wudu, from tahara, from qibla. Now today, if you go somewhere, you need to pray, you must establish where qibla is. You'll take some effort to do that. So, now.
Not to belabor the issue, but I see your point. But isn't this a safer approach? Because safer from the point of view that it's not that you said you will miss paying zakah, but if I look at it, you have not missed paying zakah.
Okay.
Because if I have gone below nisab during the year, it means that my hawl has moved.
Yes.
For another 12 months.
Good.
Okay? So let's assume that first 6 months I was above nisab.
Good.
First of Shawwal I was above nisab. Okay? End of Ramadan I was above nisab.
Good.
Okay? Somewhere in between I went below nisab.
Below nisab. Good.
Okay? And I'm saying, okay, I will assume that I will take the lower. If the lower was the first of Shawwal last year or this one, I will pay zakah I'll pay zakah. So if it's not zakah because the hawl has moved, it means it becomes sadaqah.
Okay.
Yeah? But then what happens is that if the hawl has moved, the next calculation will be before the next hawl.
If let's say the hawl has moved to the Qaeda.
Yeah, because if it went down,
okay,
it means the hawl has moved.
Has moved it.
Yeah, but I am calculating my zakah before the hawl.
No,
I'm just looking from a practical point of view, because I agree with you.
Yeah.
But honestly, monitoring these statements, I think Abakr can tell you, it could be a total, depending on the transactions and the way they happen.
They move, yeah.
I agree that is actually the ideal position. But if I may ask you, what is the makhraj? If I may use that word, what is the makhraj where practicality becomes a problem?
The makhraj will be, maybe just to chip in or to try to normalize the situation to an extent, would be one of the options I would explore, as especially if my amount is deposit with the bank, for example, I would alert them, I would ask them to alert me whenever the amount is below this certain amount, just to alert me. They can do it. That is my personal approach to that. Secondly, is you can also judge from your own transactions. You can normally tell. Now, when I normally withdraw or deposit, because that normally happens to me as well, I can easily make a guess whether I am below this amount or above this amount in most cases. But what I would very much recommend and also take a sort of a precautionary position is not to go to the extent of saying, for example, my house started in Sha'ban and therefore the next Sha'ban I'm going to pay zakah come what may, assuming and knowing for sure that the house has fell down, because the problem here would be that I have given out zakah when it was not due by judging from its house. You see, and therefore that period of time would be less in terms of howl by probably 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, and that is definitely, as you have just correctly put it, is going to affect the subsequent howl that is coming.
If we do the way we do that, nikitoa zakah tarehe leo, do I do again my accounting within 12 months or 12 months from now? Or is howl counted from whenever it is above nisab?
Yes.
Because then if it's that way, then every single day I have to check whether my mal has reached howl.
No, you don't have to do that. What you normally do is you just have to check whether your amount has fallen below the howl, the nisab. That's all.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
Which can happen, let's say, in a year once or twice.
The way most of us do is if I am paying in Ramadan or the Hijj, I do my accounts again in Ramadan to pay my zakah.
Okay.
Right? And then I account from that day to today. So
now when you took Ramadan to be your start and end of howl,
yes,
under what consideration did you do that? Did you do it from the analysis of nisab, or just by understanding that Ramadan, as many people, mashallah, take, even in Mombasa where I am, many people tend to give out their zakah in Ramadan, just by belief that Ramadan is a month of giving out, which is good actually, but it has to be having a basis. You see, because in zakah, Ramadan by itself has got no connection to zakah.
Zakah, yes.
At all.
So I'm just using as an example.
Which is good.
I do my
accounts
end of year. The Hijjah is when
the Hijjah to the Hijjah, yes. Right. You consider it as your financial year.
Yes.
But it has to have a basis in terms of nisab. Because as we have pointed earlier, nisab is the one that determines your howl, beginning and ending. And subsequently moving.
That's what I'm asking. If I do mine from end of the Hijjah, Muharram, and my mal reached nisab, right? But by end of year, again the Hijjah, I jafkisha hawl. And that is when I do my zakah.
Okay.
Do I not pay zakah in the Hijjah and wait for Muharram and pay my zakah?
No, you see, what happens, Sheikh Abdul Bakr, is like this. We have two aspects here. We have the aspect of your money fluctuating, going up and down. And in most cases, most of our brothers normally are concerned with the fact that sometimes you can have even 2 to 3 years you have not paid zakat, simply because your money has not achieved nisab, static or stable nisab, for all that period.
Yes.
Okay, whenever you achieve nisab, after 1-2 months, the money is gone. Whenever you achieve nisab, it's gone. Now, to explain that point, I want to take you out of these calculations and out of zakah completely. Let's go to something else that's called the spirit of zakah. The spirit of zakah, that's why you are going to understand the maqasid. And you are going to understand the zakah as an overall, let's say, overall concept in Islam. Now, what happens in Islam is, and many of our brothers, especially those who are engaging in business, this is their common question. My fellow brothers in Mombasa who are dealing with transport, this is their common question. Sheikh, I have just, I've just received something to the tune of 10 million. Within 1 or 2 months, all that money is gone. And then I get another 7 million, 5 million, all that money is gone. So, to answer this part of the question, Sheikh Abu Bakr, we have to look at zakah from the perspective of why was zakah made compulsory to the Muslims. What is the al-maqasid al-aliyah? Al-maqasid al-aliyah, that is the higher objectives of zakah. Now, we need to, first of all, to understand the concept that Islam, the religion, promotes a real economic activity. Islam promotes business. Islam wants people to indulge, to get involved in business as much as they can. So the whole idea of Islamic wealth system and wealth management is about a Muslim engaging in business, a Muslim carrying out a physical and real economic activity. Islam is not supporting the notion whereby, or the idea of money sitting idle somewhere. That's not the principle of Islam. That is not amongst the Islamic principles of wealth. So in Islam, wealth is supposed to be multiplied and not to stay idle. Therefore, we tell the brothers whose money is not staying, it comes in 10 million, he buys lorries, he buys spares, puts it into business and so on and so forth. We are telling them that's exactly what Islam wants. That objective in Islam is higher than the objective of paying zakah. Because the benefit of you engaging in business, in as far as benefiting your community is concerned, is far much higher and bigger than the benefit of giving people zakah 5,000 or 2,000 shillings in Ramadan. So you should not be worried at all that your money doesn't stay. That's exactly what Islam wants. In fact, look at it as this. The money that has sat idle for 1 year, Islam is telling you, hey guy, my friend, you don't have, nothing is working here. So therefore, please this give to the poor. It stays again for another 1 year, you're going to give it to the poor. After 10 years, that money is finished. Alhamdulillah. You have no business with it.
I think, Sheikh, that rationale needs to be resonated. Because I think for a Muslim, yeye aona kwamba hii ni ibada, minna mali, kwa hivyo hii ni kutakasa mali yangu. Na kwamba sipotoa mimi mtapata dhambi. But that rationale that actually Islam wants a very vibrant economy, that there has to be circulation of wealth in the economy, and that the effect is much higher, the benefit is much higher to the community than just giving the benefit of giving zakah.
Good.
I think that is something that Jazakallah khairan, I think we have it in our mind, but it has not come out very strongly from our shuyukh when they talk about zakah. That was the rationale for zakah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And why that nisab?
Exactly.
Now.
Barakallahu feek.
You mentioned something that when the nisab reaches how, and that's what's a bit bothering me, because I gave an example. You used the word of mu'sir.
I used the what?
The person who was
mu'sir, yes.
The person was
unable to pay, yes.
So I did my zakah last year, the Hijjah. Then he paid me in Muharram.
Okay.
Right, this year. So I do again my accounts in the Hijjah. So
Your house started which month?
I usually pay the Hijjah.
You pay?
I paid my zakah last year.
Okay. But you are starting to count your haul when?
Muharram.
Or the Hijjah? your
beginning of Muharram.
Beginning of Muharram, okay?
Right.
Okay.
So
That's when you have achieved the nisab.
No, let's ignore when I started, how I end up doing the Hijjah for now.
Okay.
Let's assume that I do the Hijjah.
Okay,
Right?
okay.
I do the Hijjah.
Your calculation.
My calculation.
Okay.
I do the Hijjah. I paid or I did not pay my Zakat,
Okay.
Hijjah based on my accounts at that time.
Okay.
This person also paid me end of Muharram this year. When I do again my Hijjah accounts, what he paid me, the amount that I have hasn't reached how?
Yeah, how? Okay.
Correct?
Yes.
Now, are you saying that when it reaches end of Muharram, so Dhul Hijjah I do my calculation,
Okay.
I have very little to pay or zero to pay?
Okay.
Assume I have zero to pay. Because that what she paid me is the only mal I have, but it didn't reach the how. Are you saying in end of Muharram, when that money reaches how, I pay for it?
Okay.
Or I wait again until my period of paying Zakat?
Tamam. Barakallah fiqh. That's answered, Abu Bakr, is answered by this slide, the coming one. Takmil al-Nisab. Takmil al-Nisab, yeah. So Takmil al-Nisab talks about putting your wealth together for you to reach Nisab. You have wealth from different items of the Zakat basket, but each item by its own does not reach Nisab. But if you're going to put another item to that particular basket, then in sum, your Nisab is going to be achieved. Now, what's the approach according to Zakat rulings? Do we or are we supposed to combine different items together for us to achieve Nisab, or what's the way forward? The answer is لا يضم جنس إلى جنس آخر في إكمال النصاب بالإجماع. Now, what matters here now is to look at the jins. Jins is the genus. The genus of every item, if is different from another item, if the genus of these two items are different, then we don't combine the two genus. Now, by genus here I mean gold and silver plus currency is genus, right? We have talked of Bahimat al-An'am is genus. Now, I will not take the value of Bahimat al-An'am and combine with the genus of Dhahab and Fidda, because these two are of two different jins. But what I'm going to do is, according to this now, if we say لا يضم جنس إلى جنس آخر, meaning that items which fall under the same genus, the same jins, I have to combine. This is based on the mafhum al-mukhalafa of what I've just mentioned. This is mentioned by Ibn Qudama, and in Al-Mughni has narrated the ijma' of scholars about this. So what that means is, if you have items which fall under the same genus, then you must combine them together under the same genus, meaning that if I have, for example, urud al-tijara is a genus, but in urud al-tijara I'm paying the value, because these are items, commodities meant for business. I'm taking the value of that of the stock, okay, with differences amongst the opinion of scholars, whether with the buying price or at the opening stock, or with the market price during the closing stock. There are two opinions here. We're going to mention that later, inshallah. The value of that at 2.5%, rubu al-ushr, I'm going to combine it with the cash I have at hand, cash at bank, gold, silver, whatever, all that is put together because it's one genus. Issue of a debt that has come in or money that has come in during haul, I am going to examine to find out that money that has come in, what is the source of that money. Now, if the source is by any chance related to money that is already there, I have it during the haul, the rule amongst the rule applied in Ahkam al-Hajj is at-tabi'u tabi' or at-tabi' yatba' al-asl. What that means is, for example, you have used a principle of 100,000 in an FD account, 200,000 you've put it in FD account, and within 3 months or 6 months, it has generated a return of certain amount. Let's say 15,000, 20,000. Now remember, that has come in after 3 months or 6 months during the haul. And when you started the haul, the money is in the FD, it is part of Zakat basket.